IEP Assistant Pro is an easy-to-use add-on program that is designed to work with your existing IEP software. IEP Assistant Pro helps you to overcome the shortcomings in many IEP programs. All of the shortcuts in IEP Assistant Pro can be customized by the end user. In this video, I have IEP Assistant Pro on one side and a blank IEP on the other. You can use the IEP Assistant to complete many of the text fields on the IEP. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the program, and then I'll show you a demonstration on how the program works. First off, I'm going to click Continue. That puts me into the program. The first layout I come to are the banks. The banks are used to store an unlimited number of goals and objectives that can be easily inserted into an IEP. The banks can be organized by topics and will self-correct for the student's name and gender. So if I click here, the topics field, I can see different topics I might pick from. Notice in this bank it says bracket name bracket. I also have the word he in here. So if I come up here and I type in the student's name, say I do John, then what happens is it automatically corrects that to John. And then let's say that John was a female. So when I check female, it knows to change that he to a she in here. Now what you'll do in the banks is that anytime you use something that's gender specific, always use the masculine form. To add something to the bank, it's fairly easy. If I come up here, I can type in a new topic. So let's say I type in math time. Maybe I want to store some kind of goal that relates to a child telling time. So I might say something like this. Bracket name bracket will tell time on an analog watch. So maybe that's the goal I want to store. Then down here in my objective bank, then I'm going to type something like this, where I might say bracket name bracket will identify the minute, and hour hand with 100% accuracy. And then I might click another, I'll click in the box below that, and then I'll say bracket name bracket will count to 60 by fives. So now those are stored, and now they all become part of my list then. Say if I go to math, I come back here and I'm going to go to math time. It's in here. Also, if I need to do any editing of these after I've typed them in, what I do is I click on the little pencil here. The screen goes yellow, and then it allows me to enter in information in there. All right, let's look at a few other things here. The Services tab can be used to quickly enter in specially designed instructions, related services, accommodations, modifications. So I just click on the tabs here, and that takes me to the different sections here. Say, for instance, under accommodations, those can all be organized by different subjects, so it's a nice way of keeping track of what accommodations go with which subject area. The other section is used to store checkboxes, lists, statements, and blocks of text that can be inserted into other parts of the IEP. Say, for instance, here I have some checkbox items here. To edit those, it's very easy. I just come down here where it says Edit, and I select this Edit ... Now, whatever I type into this box here then becomes my checkbox item. So at any point in time, if you want to modify that, it's fairly easy to do by just clicking down here on the red Edit ... The IEP tab is used to store the goals and objectives for a student's IEP. This section can be used to generate progress reports, IEP at a glance, feedback forms, accommodation summaries, graphs, and note documentation forms. Clips can be used to store large blocks of text in these big boxes here that can be copied and then dragged over to an IEP. And then Standards contains the content standards organized by subject, grade, and standards. Now let's look at completing an IEP. I'm going to jump back to the banks section, and let's say I pick math again. And what I do here is when I find the goal that I want, I'm just going to then click on that goal. It'll highlight it and I'll drag that over. If your program doesn't support drag and drop, then what you might have to do is paste it into that box instead of using the drag and drop. Now that I have my goal in here, I can come down here. I can pick the different kinds of methods I'm going to use to evaluate this goal. What I do is I check the boxes. I'll come over here. In the methods box, I'll right click with my mouse and I'll say paste, and then it copies those checkbox items in here. Then I'll come down here to my objectives, click on that. Once it turns blue, oops, I have some extra text in here. Then we'll come over here, paste that one in, and come over here and paste that one in. Then I'm going to go to my Services tab, and let's go back to my instructions. Let's go back to Related Services, and I'm going to say, okay, we're going to give speech therapy. My provider is going to be a speech therapist. We're going to give the amount is going to be 40 minutes. The frequency is going to be 1 day per week, and my location is going to be in the designated therapist area. Then if I had another related service, I could put that in here. In my accommodations box, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to check the accommodations that I want to give for that student, and then I'm going to do again a right click over here, and we'll paste that in. Notice these came in with bullets in there, and the reason why is I told the program down in this section here to put bullets in those. And let's just drag a provider over here, and then we'll do, let's see, let's put this in the general classroom, and now I'm finished with that. Now let's look at what you can complete underneath the IEP tab in the IEP Assistant. Over here I've entered in some information on the student. I have some goals and objectives that I copied from an IEP for the student. I've also copied over some services, accommodations, and some testing information. And basically I just did this by going into that IEP, and just kind of the reverse process of what we did is I just copied items from the IEP and pasted them into here. This gives me a lot of options that I can do once I have this information in here. One thing I can do is click on the progress report button, and this will generate a progress report for this student. I have a lot of different layouts to enter in information. I have a 4-column report, a 6-column report, 8, 9, or a larger narrative report. A lot of flexibility on what you want to use for a progress report. Then I'm going to click back on the IEP tab, and it's going to put me back here. Then what I can do is I can use this information to generate a lot of different reports in the IEP Assistant. And let me show you what some of those reports or forms look like. This first one's an IEP at a glance, and what it does, it summarizes a lot of the information coming off the IEP. At the top I can see the related services, accommodations, additional information I want to put in, goals, objectives, and then when I scroll further down I can see what accommodations I put in for the testing page. Very nice option to summarize the main highlights of an IEP in one form. I think regular classroom teachers really appreciate a form like this. Another option is this IEP feedback form. This is a chart that prints out that I can enter in information on a daily basis. So if I want to keep track of daily progress for a student, works out real nice for that. This is a documentation form that I can print out so I can handwrite notes onto it. And here's a weekly feedback similar to the daily feedback where I can keep track of a student's progress on a weekly basis. And the last form in here is this testing accommodations form. And what it will do is it will summarize all of the accommodations coming off an IEP for your list of kids. So a very nice form then too for teachers. That concludes the video tour of IEP Assistant. If you have any questions, please contact Practice Solutions for Educators. Thank you very much for your time.